Hello, my name is Brandon Lovering and I am a certified installation trainer for Brugg pipe systems. Today we're going to be doing a demonstration on how to install the 1/2 inch Flexwell NPT infitting. Now that you've seen the complete 1/2 inch NPT infitting, we're going to go through the separate parts that make up this infitting. We're going to start with one. One is the union nut with an olive, which is part number 2. One is a hex nut that is threaded. The olive seats inside. You can see the olive here, part number 2. 3 is your screw connection. The screw connection is threaded and threads onto the secondary piping. It also has a test port. This test port is 1/8 inch British standard thread. This test port is used for testing purposes, obviously, for the secondary. In order to test it, you're going to use what we send with each fitting is a test port adapter. This test port adapter is comprised of 2 different pieces. It starts at 1/8 inch British standard male and ends at 1/4 inch NPT female. Moving on, you got number 4 is the graphite ring. Graphite ring is obviously made of graphite. It is used to compress and it creates a seal. 5, threaded support ring. This threaded support ring is symmetrical on both sides. It can be threaded either way, but it threads onto the secondary pipe and assist in compressing the graphite ring. 6, sliding sleeve. The sliding sleeve also helps in compressing the graphite seal, and it fits inside of number 7, which is the threaded bushing. Threaded bushing has 2 notches here where you can put a wrench on it, and it is also has fine threads on the inside. The fine threads are used at the end of the fitting to completely compress the infitting. And those are your 7 parts to the infitting. You may be wondering, how do we get to an NPT termination? The way we get there is we provide an extra olive and this NPT thread. When the fitting is complete, it will look like this. Moving down the installation manual, we go to number 3, which is the installation tools. In these installation tools, you're going to need an A, hacksaw. We prefer that you use a 32 tooth blade on the hacksaw because of the stainless. B, a marker. Because the PE jacket is black, we usually go with a white paint pen or whiteout or something that's going to show up on the PE. C, a knife, just a utility knife. D, a tinsmith's hammer. The tinsmith's hammer, both sides of the tinsmith's hammer is used when trying to hammer down the secondary pipe, so it does work well. E, you'll also need a crescent wrench. F, end cutting pliers. The end cutting pliers is what we use to grab the secondary piping so we can strip it. G, metal shears. The metal shears that I use are made by Klein Tools. It's part number 24001. You can use whatever brand you want, but I do like these. H, a smoothing file, and I like to use a 1/2 round file, but you don't have to. I, an open-ended 27-32 millimeter wrench. J, opened end wrench, 27 millimeter. K, an open-ended 10 millimeter wrench. L says folding rule. You just simply need a tape measure. M, a brush. Brush is used to help get the metal shavings out when cutting. N, copper paste. Copper paste is simply a lubricant. for the fine threads, and you definitely want to use that. And gloves. When dealing with stainless and cutting it, it gets very sharp. What is not on the tool list is the secondary stripping tool, also known as the hurdy-gurdy. This helps peel the secondary pipe. And that wraps up the installation tools. Now we're going to install the infitting. In order to do so, our first installation step is step 4, and that's removing the PE jacket. In order to remove the PE jacket, we're going to measure back 8 1/4 inches, and I've made my mark. We're going to use a utility knife. The utility knife is safe for the stainless, so it won't cut through, but it cuts through the polyethylene jacket. So I'm going to cut all the way around. Then you cut laterally. Pipe. And we just need to grab the jacket. And it peels off. What you see is the secondary piping, which is corrugated, and you can see that it is helically corrugated, like a corkscrew, not linked. Next measurement in the training manual, number 5. After you've peeled, you go down to 6, and we're going to determine how much secondary we're going to remove, which is 3 1/2 inches. We're going to measure 3 1/2. Make a mark. Remember, this is helically corrugated, so in order to peel, you come down to the end of the pipe, find a gap to grab it with, and I'm just going to grab it and break it. And the manual, it shows that you're going to take these end nip pliers and you're going to peel it all the way back. You can do that. It's not a problem. But what we've discussed is the secondary stripping tool, which is the hurdy-gurdy, and it's much easier. With the hurdy-gurdy, you notice that there's a slit in the hurdy-gurdy. So in order to use it, we have to create a tongue with our secondary pipe. So what I will do is peel back just enough to create a tongue. I feel like it's enough. I'm just going to grab, then straighten it out. Take my end nip pliers and a hammer to flatten it out. Now we're going to take the hurdy-gurdy, put the flat part on it, and remember, it's helically corrugated, so when you're peeling, you want to stay with the corrugation. Peeling. And when we get to our mark, I'm there. I'm now parallel to the pipe. I'm going to turn the hurdy 90 degrees. And rip through. That rip through point creates a 45-degree angle on the secondary pipe, which is going to be the starting point to thread on. Now I'm going to move ahead in your manual. to number 9. On number 9, you're going to use your hammer to flatten the secondary as much as possible. Step 10, taking your file and you're going to make sure the end is nice and smooth. Now we're ready to put the parts together. Number 7, your threaded bushing. We're going to lubricate the fine threads, and it simply goes over the top of everything, including your PE jacket, kind of backing out of the way. Number 6, your sliding sleeve, which looks a brass color there, is going to go do the same. You kind of slide it back out of the way. Threaded support ring, and we talked about this, it can go on either way. It's going to thread on to your secondary, and once it gets across that first part, it's going to thread back out of the way a little bit. You don't want to lose it. 4, graphite seal. Graphite seal can be put on either way. It's going to go over your secondary as well. All right, your screw connection is number 3. It's threaded. It's going to thread onto the secondary. Look in number 12 in your screw connection, screws on, and it's going to actually stop on the secondary. So that's as far as I can get it. Step 12, pre-assembling the inner pipe seal. Alright, we're going to lubricate both external threads of the screw connection with copper paste. So screw connection is here, do a little copper paste there, a little copper paste there, and going all the way around. And there. Earlier we used the file to file down the end of the primary pipe, and the reason for that is so that the olive will fit on. Remember, the olive needs to go on first, the olive side. We're going to butt it all the way up. We're going to take our union nut and kind of thread it on there. You don't even have to get really tight, but just hand tight. Then we're going to take our wrenches, and it says in step 12 we're going to hold the threaded connection in place. I'm going to put the wrench on the union nut, and we're going to go 1 full revolution. Step 13, we're assembling the outer pipe seal. It says to push the graphite ring as far as the screw connection threaded support ring. Taking our graphite seal, we're going to move it forward where we are butted up against the threaded connection. And then we're simply going to walk everything forward. So you're going to thread your threaded support ring. It's up against the graphite seal, nice and tight. sliding sleeve will actually go over the graphite seal, so push it all the way forward so it's up against the threaded connection. Step 14, we're doing the final assembly of the outer pipe seal. So we're going to take the threaded bushing and we're going to thread it onto the screw connection. So it's going, this part here is threading here. We're going to come over the top, get to that point, start. Take our 27 and our 32. 27 is going to hold that in place. And we're going to take 32 and we're going to thread this all the way forward. It's important to keep the threaded connection in place and not let it turn. We want to keep tightening the threaded bushing until we get it up until the point of the visible edge. Visible edge is just on the back side of the test port. You can see the groove, feel the groove there. We've now reached the visible edge, and that's how far it should be. Tighten to the point right behind the test adapter. Now we're going to be converting to the NPT termination. In order to do so, you're going to put your hex nut on, slide it back. You're going to take your olive, put it facing out. It's going to go on like that. And NPT thread obviously facing outward. Going to butt it up. Bring your hex nut forward. Hold the NPT thread in place while tightening the hex nut. We're going to finish it off by holding the NPT thread in place. Once it's nice and snug, there's your NPT termination.